Good morning. So, today we're going to talk about time wasters.
Not just wasters.
Not just wasters, no, time wasters.
Wasters. Specific wasters.
Well, look like ghosts.
Ooh. Casper.
Yeah, we must have tampered with the lighting.
On our high-tech video.
On a high-tech dash window mounted thing.
It's a good job we have got one though, because I wouldn't be able to hold the phone anymore.
With your broken arm?
With my broken arm.
Not really broken though, is it?
It feels broken.
No.
Agony.
Agony. Oh, you're wasting time. See what I do with that.
Bum-bum.
So we're going to talk about time wasters because you're going to meet a lot of people what are time wasters, and it's not always, well, I don't think it's set out with the intention to be time waste. I don't think anybody sets out with that bad intention.
It just happens.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
It is just one of those things. But it's about how you handle it.
There's different types of time wasters as well, isn't there? There's ones who are kind of humming and hawing and can't make a decision. But then you've also got ones who just like to talk.
But the ones that's humming and hawing, are the time wasters, or is it just the fact that you've not locked that deal in?
Oh, going back to closing.
Back to closing. You've not asked for the business.
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially. But like it or not, there's going to be time wasters that you're going to come across, and you'll have lots and lots of meetings with people who's got the greatest intention in the world, and it never materialises to anything. And then you'll have another meeting with them, and it never materialises to anything. And another, and another, and another.
And another.
And another as well, yeah. So it's how you deal with these time wasters. And what you've got to really look at is you've got to break your time down. So if you, for example, if you want to earn 150 grand a year, then work out how much that's going to cost you per minute. And it's probably going to be something like a minute of your time. I don't know exactly what this is off the top of my head. I'm going to completely just throw this out there, but a minute of your time, if you're worth 150 grand a year, is probably going to be something like 20 pence.
No idea.
But if obviously your time's worth £1 million a year, or £2 or £3 million a year, then all of a sudden your time becomes quite valuable. Do you know, like someone says to you, "Have you got a minute?" I'm worth £2 million quid a year. I mean, that minute's worth £1.50.
And it's never a minute, is it?
And it's never a minute, so
they lie.
Yeah. Have you got a minute? Have you got £1? Yeah. Have you got £1.50 a minute?
Like a premium rate.
Like a premium rate call, yeah. Yeah. I could come and meet you, but the service charges. But it is about understanding these things, and I think that a lot of the time, are we keeping you awake by the way?
A little bit, yeah.
A lot of the time, you kind of go with no agenda and no time scale. Do you know what I mean? You need to have some kind of time frame in mind. So is it an hour's meeting? Is it a 2 hours meeting? Is it a 90-minute meeting? What's it going to be?
And it's about controlling the meeting as well, because if you just kind of rock up there with your smile and no idea what it's about or anything, so get as much information before the meeting as possible, and like you touched on there, make an agenda and stick to it.
Definitely. I think that's the thing is that if you go to a meeting at 10 AM, said that by 11 AM you've got to go. Do you know what I mean? 11:30, 12, whatever it is, put a deadline on. Listen, I'm only available between this time and that time. And it puts a little bit more urgency onto what you're talking about, because you've probably been in lots of different meetings and you've met with lots of different people, and it always goes along the kind of the theme of you meet up, how you doing, have a laugh, how's your wife, how's your kids, how's your family, how's your girlfriend, how's your partner, whatever it is like that. Then it'll be like, how's business? Yeah, it's good, it's not great, it's whatever it is. Then you'll talk about something else, then you'll have a laugh and a joke, and before you know it, you've wasted 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying don't build relationships, don't have a laugh, don't enjoy the meeting, but...
That doesn't need to be the bulk of the meeting, does it?
And then the actual meeting takes up 15 minutes.
Yeah, because you're rushing.
So you don't have
you don't get the best
Yeah,
of it,
and you don't cover the topic in any great detail, so then you leave the meeting...
Needing another
meeting, which then starts into a spiral, and you do the same thing. And so before you know it, you've had 6 meetings just to get an hour and a half meeting.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the time it's just been jibber jabber.
Jibber jabber.
Wait, don't jibber jabber.
Jib jab.
So I think that's something to be very cautious of. Is firstly making sure that you go in and you know what you're going to be covering, but also put a bit of a deadline on it. Listen, I'm only available for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and stick to a real rock solid agenda.
But during that hour and a half, 2 hours, I am dedicating my full attention to you. So make sure your phone's off. There's nothing worse than someone's phone going off when you're in a meeting. I think it's really rude.
See, this is an interesting topic, this with phones, because what I've always said to people is that you need to answer every call, regardless of whether you're in a meeting or not. See, personally, if I was sat in a meeting and someone answered the phone, fair enough. If they started having a full-on blown out conversation, I'd be like thinking, that's really, really rude. But if they answered the phone and just said, oh, hi there, sorry, I'm just with someone at the minute, I've got your number, it's just come up, or if it hasn't come up, can I just take your number and I'll give you a call back as soon as I'm free? Now, to me, that's like, wow, that's really professional. Do you know, all right, we're in a meeting, you should be putting your attention to me, but what happens if it was me calling you? I'd expect you to answer the call.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
See, that's the way I've always done it, and it's exactly the same when I used to be running estate agency branches. I used to say to all the staff that even if you have a customer sat in front of you ready to sign a deal for a property and the phone rings, you answer the phone every time. You take the detail, you say that you're busy, you're with someone at the moment, but you'll give them a call back as soon as you're finished. Because I'd be wanting to know that I get that same response when I'm calling. Do you know, if I'm phoning somebody up, I want to know that someone's going to talk to me.
Yeah, I suppose there's nothing more frustrating than trying to get hold of someone.
Absolutely. But anyway, so time wasters. We've drifted off there. Well, you did.
Either.
You did.
Sorry.
I
said sorry.
I don't want you sorry. I want you to take control. I want you to take some ownership on it.
I did by saying sorry.
Oh, okay.
Shut up now.
All is forgiven. Sarah said sorry. So, but understand that you're going to meet time wasters, so it's just about how you deal with them. And if you find that you're not getting to a resolution after 1 or 2 meetings, then you need to start looking at, is it ever going to go anywhere? And I don't mean completely burn your bridges with them, but just kind of, can it be done in email? Can it be done over the phone? Do you know, do I have to come and meet you for an hour and a half of my time, which is worth £1.50 a minute, when it can be something that can be done in 10 minutes on an email, you know, or 20 minutes on a phone call? We've got technology, use it, don't we? You've got Skype, you've got Google Hangouts, you've got FaceTime. Most people's got the Apple iPhone where you can do FaceTime. If they're not, Facebook's doing calls. Do you know, there's lots and lots of different ways. You don't have to be wasting lots of time travelling to a meeting, sat in a meeting for an hour and a half, to walk out of the meeting with nothing. So, and then once you've obviously started to establish this relationship with people, and do you know, time wasters could be really good people. Do you know, it's not that they deliberately wanting to suck you of your time.
Yeah.
Do you know, they might actually want to help, want to work together, want to synergize.
Yeah.
But they just don't know how. Do you know, it's like taking the horse to the water and it not drinking. Do you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to push its head down. taking control.
Maybe they just drift, like we did.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I mean, I did a presentation at a breakfast meeting last week.
Ooh, breakfast.
And one of the things I was saying about that is that there's so many people. Now, I know we've mentioned networking a couple of times, but there's so many people walk away from networking saying, "Oh, it doesn't work. It's not for me." But they don't do anything with it. They don't follow up. And you know, I said to everybody after I'd finished the presentation, "Listen, right, this stuff works, but you've got to make it work. You know, it's not magic. It's not just going to sit and jump up and say, oh, here's loads of business, here's a load of new contacts. Do you know what I mean? Follow up with these people, phone them up, email them, arrange to meet with them, because you don't know whether at that first time whether it's going to be a wasted time. You might find that there's lots of synergy there, and there could be the next £1 million contract,
yeah.
or open the door for you into that next £1 million contract, several £1 million contracts. Even if it's not millions of pounds, it might be a couple hundred quid, it might be a couple of grands, whatever it is. But you'll never know unless you do follow up. And that's what you've got to be cautious of, is that when you're doing this, that you follow up, and even after your meeting, you follow up on the meetings. So making sure that you've got,
just pinning people down.
yeah, you've got an agenda. Do you know what? Oh, but you're pressurising me. Of course I'm pressurising you. This is good. Do you know what we're talking about? What we're doing here?
If you're following your agenda at your meeting, and then you kind of recapping on what you've covered and explaining to them that, well, I'll give you a ring in a couple of days or whatever, whether it's an email or whatever it is you're doing, you're telling them beforehand. So it's, how can that be pressure?
Yeah, yeah. We've done a meeting.
They've got the opportunity there to say, oh, well, I don't want you to.
Yeah, we've got a meeting. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow up with you in a day or so, and we'll see how we can progress this and move it forward. And if you can't progress it and move it forward, that's fine. Do you know what? Stay in touch. Just don't waste loads of time going out and meeting with people when there's nothing to actually come from it. And do you know what? I mean, I've built relationships with people, and I've not had any work, any business, any referrals out of them for years. But I've maintained a relationship, and eventually I've had work out of these people. So it works. You've got to water it, and you've got to nurture it and look after it.
Like any relationship, isn't it?
Like any relationship.
Buying flowers.
Just be very cautious that you don't waste time. You keep dropping this flowers situation in, don't you? Yeah. I think she wants flowers. So anyway, final thought.
I preferred the kitchen being tiled.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
It's much better.
Final thought?
Final thought. I think the main thing is to have an agenda. If you're going to a meeting, you need to know, what do you want to get out of it? What do they want to get out of it? And, you know, if that's completely different things, find a way to meet halfway.
Like it.
Thanks.
Good stuff, yeah. Follow up. Put a deadline. A deadline. Put a deadline on the amount of time that you're going to spend at the meeting, and just do it. Do it anyway.
Do it anyway. Yeah. Ow.
On that note, have a great day. And I don't know why we're looking all Casper, so I think we're going to have to look at the settings on this, because
I think it looks kind of cool and ethereal.
Ooh, ethereal.
Don't even know if that's a real word.
Sounds cool though.
Thanks.
Anyway, ciao.
Bye bye.